Hey everyone, I want to go ahead and show you how to use the DFS simulator over at the solver. The simulator is located within the DFS optimizer, so I can just go ahead up here and hit NFL. You do need an optimizer subscription as well in order to use the MME simulator. So for being able to simulate more than one lineup at a time, you do need a DFS optimizer subscription as well. I've selected some projections, some variance, and I have a QB stack. Let's look at that. Oh, so I've changed the QB stack to exactly 2, but let's say I want to do exactly 1 wide receiver tight end. And at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and create 20 lineups. Now, once these lineups are created, there's a big simulate button here. I'm going to go ahead and hit that. I will then select, let's say, the $100 Milli Maker. This is the tournament that I want to simulate these lineups in, and I will hit run. Now, what happens at this point in time is that we take each one of these lineups and we simulate them in this DraftKings field for the $100 Milli Maker. We take care of projecting the field lineups. We've invested a lot of resources to make sure that those lineups are resemble the actual lineups that are being played in tournaments of this type. Now, at this point here, you do see that there is a lot of numbers on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and try to describe what they are, how to use them. First off, there is this average sim ROI. What the sim ROI is the return on the entry fees for these lineups in this tournament that we've simulated 10,000 times. So we take this lineup here, we throw it in a projected field for this tournament, and we simulate that tournament 10,000 times. Then this is the average ROI of all of these lineups here, and the ROI for each individual lineup can be seen in this column. Now, this ROI is supposed to be used, in my opinion, directionally. There's going to be some bias towards players that we're higher on than the field. So I think the goal of this tool is to be able to use it in a way that answers questions about how to build lineups and how to maximize the value that you're getting out of correlation, out of giving up ownership, ceiling, etc. So I think the types of questions that can be answered using this is, should I double stack Joe Burrow? Should I run back my Jalen Hurts stacks? Should I single or double stack Kirk Cousins? How important is it to, potentially not play very high owned lineups? Like, for example, if I'm giving up 10% of ownership for a guy who's projected by 1 point lower, is that a good or a bad thing for my lineups in a tournament of a certain size? So those are the types of questions that we'll look to answer with the sim ROI. The sim ROI should not be taken as something that is an expected ROI if you were to play this lineup in this actual tournament. A few other things about this. There's also the cash rate. The cash rate is how often the lineup finishes in a cashing position in that tournament. There's also this little chart that you can pop up here. This gives you the finish position of this lineup in the 10,000 simulations of the tournament. I think this is very, very useful to just visualize how the lineup finishes. On the left side here in green is like the top 1%, top 2%. In general, you want to see the chart skewing to the left for a good lineup. Now, a few other things. There's also this quick select. You can select none of your lineups. You can select all. You can select, let's say the top 20% of lineups were ROI, or you can select, let's say lineups that have a ROI of 15% or more. So at this point in time, I'll just go ahead and select all lineups, and then you can also filter by players. So for example, you can filter by Deebo Samuel. You can view all those lineups. You can see the average ROI by specific player. And then I can also go ahead and hit save. And this would save all the lineups that I have selected into my lineups tab right here. So from here on out, I just want to go ahead and show you just an example of how I would use this tool. So the way I would use this is I would try to figure out, for example, let's say one of the questions, this is something I actually did last weekend. One of the questions I had was, should I single or double stack Joe Burrow? So I'm just going to go ahead and log Joe Burrow here, and I'm going to go to advanced settings, and I'm going to say exactly one wide receiver tight end. So I'm going to just single stack, and let's say I'm just going to get 20 lineups here. In answering this question, the more lineups you have, the more lineups you simulate, the better of an idea you'll have. So when I was doing this earlier, I was using 150 lineups, but right now I'm using 20 just for the sake of brevity. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate these 20 lineups that I have with a single stack of Joe Burrow. And here are my results. So as you can see on the right side here, basically, Joe Burrow, the average ROI 23%. I obviously have a lock, so this should match here. So the average ROI for a single stacked Joe Burrow lineup is about 24%. I can then try to get an idea of, what stack partners seem to deliver a better ROI. So, if I'm looking at his pass catchers, I can see 34% ROI of Jamar Chase, 33% on T. Higgins, -4% on Irv Smith. So, theoretically, if I was considering what lineups to play in a Millie Maker, one conclusion I could draw from this is that if I am playing Burrow, I would rather stack him with Chase or Higgins instead of Irv Smith. Now, I want to see if it's better to potentially double stack Burrow. So in the single stack, I'm getting a 24% ROI. I'm going to go back to the optimizer, to the advanced settings, and I'm going to say that I want exactly 2 wide receiver tight ends. I'm going to go ahead and hit optimize again. And once this is done, I will once again simulate these lineups, once again in the Millie Maker. So once this simulates, we'll see how the double stacks do. As you can see, there's a variety of different stacks here. There's Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, Irv Smith. So this is done here. And I can see that here I'm getting only a 6% average sim ROI for double stacking Joe Burrow. So intuitively here, just from the first run versus the second run, I am seeing the result that single stacking Joe Burrow seems to be better on the slate. Now, again, I'm only using 20 lineups here, so there's quite a bit of volatility in these. If you are trying to do this process, you are trying to get answers for this, I certainly would recommend doing this with 150 lineups just so you have a bigger sample size. But these are the type of questions that I'm trying to answer using the simulator tool. Clearly, you can also just examine the differences between the top lineups versus the bottom lineups. Maybe there's run backs involved in the ones that are doing better. Maybe there's certain players that just fit better with Joe Burrow from a salary perspective. There's a lot of different things that you can do in order to gain insight from this. But in general, these are the types of questions that I'm looking to answer using this tool. If you have any questions at all, there is an FAQ under the DFS Simulator tab. There is a lot answered there. I would urge everyone to read that. And if there's anything further, you can contact us at support@thesolver.com.